Hello, good morning to all. Can you hear me?
Morning to you.
Yes.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, okay. So we are going to have the last chapter. Are you happy?
Kind of.
Yes, Abhi.
So I know you will be very happy because when I told you this is the last chapter, I know everybody will be happy. So next topic in research methods, that is chapter 6, experimental research. So when we are considering about experimental research, it's a research conducted with a scientific approach using two sets of variables. The first set acts as the constant, which is used to measure the differences between or differences of the second set. So for an example, we can tell quantitative research method is an example for experimental research. If you don't have enough data to support
Slide
your
is invisible, sir.
pardon,
Slide is invisible.
voice is not clear.
Yeah, the slide is not clear.
Not
It's not
clear, not
showing.
clear.
Now it is clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't have enough data to support your decision, you must first determine the facts. So what the experimental design or experimental data that will do is gathering the data necessary to help you make better decisions. Any research conducted under scientifically acceptable condition uses experimental methods. The success of experimental studies hinges on researchers confirming the change of a variable is based solely on the manipulation of the constant variable. So generally, you can conduct the experimental research with the following situations or in the following situation. What are they? One, time is a vital factor in establishing a relation between cause and effect. And invariable behavior between cause and effect, you wish to understand the
clear.
importance of the cause and effect. It's not clear?
Yeah. No slides.
No, audio is clear for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we mentioned in the starting that for the experimental research, quantitative research method is an example. So what is quantitative research method? It can be defined as the systematic investigation of phenomena by gathering quantifiable data. See, quantifiable data, that means numerical values, and performed statistical, mathematical, or computational techniques. See, an example for quantitative research is like a survey conducted to understand the amount of time a doctor takes to tend a patient when the patient walks into the hospital. So a patient satisfaction survey templates can be administrated to ask questions like how much time did the doctor take to see a patient, how often does a patient walks into the hospital, and other such questions. So there we are going to get numerical values. So with respect to that, we can just make like a conclusion. What is experimental research? So an experimental design is the traditional approach to conducting quantitative research. So treatment, control, comparison, do something to subjects who are randomly selected and randomly assigned to groups for the purpose of determining the cause of an effect. So what is cause of an effect or cause and effect? It's a relationship between two things when one thing makes something else happen. For example, if we eat too much food and do not exercise, we gain weight. So eating food without exercise is the cause. Weight gain is its corresponding effect. There may be multiple causes and multiple effects. Is it clear?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
So experimental design, in short, we can tell experimental design means it may be through comparison, it may be through control, it may be through treatment. We are going to make comparison between two or more variables. It means we are doing an experiment. Okay, just so what is an experiment? It is nothing but an investigation of the relationship between two or more variables by deliberately producing a change in one variable in a situation and observing the effect of that change on other aspects of the situation. So what we are going to make is that we are taking two or more variables, and for this variable we are making a relationship, and in this relationship, for example, if I am telling a equal to bx plus c, a equal to bx plus c, so the variable here we mentioned as x. So when you are giving value to x1, sorry, x0, you will get a different result. When the value of x equal to 1, you will get a different result, etc. So whenever we are giving the value to one variable, automatically it is going to give a different result, and we are making the comparison for that. So what is experimental manipulation? Change that an experimenter, that means a person, deliberately produces in a situation. And treatment, it's a manipulation implemented by the experimenter. And experimental group means any group that receives a treatment in an experiment. So these are all the different terms in experimental research: experiment, experimental manipulation, treatment, and experimental group. Okay. So in order to conduct the experimental research, there are certain steps. What are they? See, when you are having a research problem, which experiment will be most suitable for that research problem that you want to select? So that means decide if an experiment addresses your research problem. And second, form hypothesis to test the cause and effect relationship. See, cause and effect relationship is what? It is the relationship between two things. When one thing makes something changes to the other. What is hypothesis? It's a proposed explanation or phenomenon. For a hypothesis to be a scientific hypothesis, a scientific method is required that one can test it. So it's a kind of testing sentences, hypothesis. So form hypothesis to test the cause and effect relationships. Third one, select an experimental unit and identify the study participants. So to whom we can able to make these experiments. See, just imagine, as I mentioned already in the previous lectures, if you are going to identify, or if you are going to find the quality of education in a classroom, okay, classroom education I'm telling, not for the whole university. So in a classroom education, whenever we are thinking about an experiment, so what the experiment we can able to do? Okay, survey experiment we can do. Then in survey experiments, who are all going to be the participants? If I involve the vice president or vice president, they may give little information or no information because they don't have any direct interaction with the classroom teaching. Am I correct? If you are mentioning about the dean or head of the department, they also may not be able to give proper information. Who can give proper information? The faculty member and the students who are involved in the classroom. So when we are selecting the participants, the participants should be suitable with respect to the given survey, with respect to the given experiment, from whom we can able to get most appropriate information and select an experimental treatment and introduce it. So experimental treatment means, see, if you are asking questions to the students, most probably they will answer. But if you are asking question to the faculty member, they may or may not give answer. So what do you want to do? There you want to just change the pattern. How instead of asking them direct questions, you just write the questions in a piece of paper and hand over to them and ask them, okay, you can give the answer in the later stages, maybe tomorrow, after tomorrow, or after 1 week, or after 1 month, like that. Means give them enough time, give them sufficient time to give the answer. So choose a type of experimental design, conduct the experiments, organize and analyze the data, and then finally develop the research report. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So once again, let me revise. In order to conduct the experimental research, the following steps are introduced. Decide the experiment for your research problem, form a hypothetical test, and for the cause and effect relationship, select an experimental unit and identify the participants, select the experimental treatment and introduce it, choose a type of experimental design, conduct the experiment, collect the data, make the reports. So these are all the 8 steps in conducting experimental research. Then comes data management, collecting, presenting, and analyzing research data. So what are the sources of data we are having? We are having quantitative data, that means numerical in nature. We have qualitative data, that is the observation measured based on the numerical data. Or in simple terms, quantitative data means it includes numbers, and qualitative data means it includes properties. See, if I ask you your height or weight, you will tell like 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, like that. Weight means you will tell 40 kilo, 50 kilo, 60 kilo, like that. Means you are measuring it with respect to numbers. Whereas set of qualitative data, if I am asking your character, I cannot tell that you have a 20 kilo character, you have 40 kilo character. I can tell you your character is either good or bad. Am I correct?
Yep.
So that means qualitative data, it indicates the observation measured on the numerical scale, or in other words, we can tell it is properties in nature, attributes in nature, whereas set of quantitative data, there is a value on a numerical side or a numerical scale. And quantitative and numerical data, from where we are going to get these quantitative and numerical data? We are going to get it from discrete data or continuous data. So what is discrete data? It is the information that can take certain values. So data that can only take certain values, for example, the number of students in the class, where you cannot have half of a student. So there will be certain values. So only certain values are possible. There are gaps between the possible values. Whereas set of continuous data is that data that can take any value, height, weight, temperature, length are examples of continuous data. So theoretically, any value within an interval is possible with a fine enough measuring device. So discrete data means only certain values are possible. Continuous data means any value within a particular interval. And then comes the types of data. What are the types of data we are having? Mainly we are having 2 kinds of data, that is primary data or secondary data. What is primary data? It is the information collected through original or first-hand research. That is data observed and recorded or collected directly from respondents. For example, surveys and focus group discussions. On the other hand, secondary data is information which has been collected in the past by someone else. For example, researching the internet, newspaper articles, and company reports. So primary data means the data which we as the researcher generated through experiment, through survey, through questionnaire, etc. Means the data generated by ourselves. What is secondary data? This is the data generated by someone else and we are using it for our own purpose. Got my point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so see, for example, I am going to write a research paper on certain things, like what I can able to tell online. or distance education in Sudanese universities during the COVID-19 pandemic. So what I am going to do, I am going to use my idea to write the paper. Okay, now I have the paper. So there what I used primary data. Why it is called the primary data? It is done by myself, my own brilliance, my own idea, my own imaginations. But suppose if I'm taking the help of an internet, some research articles, and from that research articles, I got the idea, then I am going to write it in my own self. So what I had done, I took the idea from someone else. It may be through internet, it may be through newspapers, it may be through reports, it may be through journal, it may be through conference articles like that. If I'm taking, that will become secondary data. So we can collect the data in two different ways, either using your own imagination, your own idea, your own solution, or it's not copy actually, we can take the help of some research articles, books, published materials, etc., etc. Then comes the diagram for types of data. See, primary data collection, that means what? We are going to collect the data by ourselves through observations, through survey, through experimentation, etc. So secondary data, either it is using print or electronic medium. See, there are several methods that can collect quantitative data like experiments, controlled observations, surveys, paper, mobile, questionnaire, studies, polls, telephonic interview, face-to-face interview. In this way, we can able to collect it in many different ways. And secondary data, that is nothing but the data which we collected using any other medium written by some other researchers or some other scientists or some other writers. Okay, clear?
Yes.
Okay. Then comes, okay, this is the one which I mentioned it already, collecting quantitative data. Identify your unit analysis, identify your units. That means what? From whom you can collect the information. So who can supply the information that you will use to answer your quantitative research questions or hypotheses. See, in the class, I think in the previous semester, I told you in software, introduction to software engineering, if a person comes from outside and asks about me, my teaching methods, my quality of teaching, if they ask the president or vice president or dean or head of the department, they may not get proper information. From whom they will get proper information? From you people, because you are the one who is directly interacting with me. You are the one who is directly interacting with the system. So if they ask you, you can able to give a proper information, whether he is good, whether he is punctual, whether he is regular, etc., etc., etc. So identify your unit analysis means you need to identify, you need to know from whom you can able to get proper information for your quantitative research questions as well as hypothesis, and specify the population. That means how many members, from how many members you are going to collect the information. Suppose if I am telling about your classroom, let it be 45 members are there, I am telling the population is 45 because I am going to collect the information from 45 members. And sample means what? We are going to take random sample, like your multiple choice question. How you are going to answer your multiple choice question? You will just close your eyes. You will just close your eyes, take the question paper, put the finger, make the round, and select somewhere. Okay, this is going to be the answer. So like that, random sampling means you are going to select the sample in a random way. So information, what information we need to collect? Specify variable from research questions and hypothesis. Operationally define each variable, choose types of data and measures, etc. Is it clear?
Yes, clear.
Okay. So criteria for choosing instrument to collect quantitative data. So here are some questions we can able to tell, like how the authors develop the instruments recently, and can you obtain the most recent version? Is the instruments widely cited by other authors? That means popularity. or reviews available for the instrument. So why we are taking reviews, why we are taking citations? See, for example, you write a research paper and you got 1000 citation. Okay, I will just cut it now and then I will come back because the time is running out. Don't go, I will come back.
Okay.
Okay, I will continue. So criteria for choosing instrument to collect quantitative data. So how the authors develop the instrument recently and can you obtain the most? See, this indicates that, see how many more citation you have, that much popularity your paper will be. Or if you are making a survey, and if the survey is viewed by or watched by more people, or the instruments that you had used is viewed by cited by more authors, reviews are more reviews are available. That means your paper or your instrument is having high value, so that the other paper or that the other researchers will try to use it for their personal purpose. Okay. There you go. There you go.
Quando passa un fondo di studio.
Appear. So let us continue. Criteria for choosing instrument to collect quantitative data. So how authors develop the instruments recently and can you obtain the most recent version? Is the instrument widely cited by other authors? Are reviews available for the instrument? Is there the information about the relativity and validity of scores from past uses of the instruments? Does the procedure for recording data fit the research question hypothesis in your study? Does the instruments contain accepted scale of measurement? So this indicates that when you are collecting quantitative data, the most popular instrument, that is most popular experiment done by some other researchers, for example, that model we will try to use it for our own research. And then comes collecting what data or information you want to collect. How do you collect the data or information, like which I mentioned to you already, like experiments, observation, surveys, interviews and questionnaire, studies, polls, documents, audiovisual materials, face-to-face interactions or face-to-face interviews, telephonic interviews, etc. So we can able to means whatever the means which will be suitable for us, we can able to use those technologies or those methods to collect information for our experimental research. See here some of the examples for how we are going to present the data, presenting the data. So here they mentioned about category, the frequency, the relative frequency, that is frequency, and this is the total frequency. And the relative frequency means the frequency divided by the total, 35 by 400. which is equal to 9%. Like that, it can be. So it can be the quantitative, sorry, the presenting the qualitative data. It can be presented either with the help of tables, or it can be presented with the help of graphs like bar chart or pie diagram, etc. Okay. So we can, once if the data is being collected and the data will be analyzed, and this analyzed data which will be suitable for our experiment, that we will do, and then afterwards what we are going to do, we are going to make the data in the form of table, and then afterwards we are going to make it in the presentation or presenting the data in the form of graph. Okay, I will give you an example for this later. Then comes analyzing the quantitative data. Describe the trends in the data to a single variable or question on your instrument. Compare two or more groups on the independent variable in terms of dependent variable, relate two or more variables, and then test hypothesis about the differences in the group of the or the relationships of variables. So this analysis I will explain you with the help of one of my research. Okay, and then finally that start writing your research proposal, and good luck. Okay, this is about this chapter, and let me take you to one of my let me take you to my thesis. Okay, can you see this now? Can you see the Word document?
Not yet.
Can you see this?
Now it's clear.
Yes.
Okay, see here. This I explained to you actually in the previous week. So what I had done is that I prepared around this is a questionnaire sample. So I prepared around 45 questions, like first part, the respondents' background, second part, their attitude towards current education system, and etc. Then then in the part C, curriculum, instructions, and support. See, for each case, I have some values. Can you see this? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So I collected this one from more than 300 participants, that is the sample is 300, and from that I collected the information, and from that information you can able to find my finding. See here what I had done. I created a table. Got it? Is it clear?
Yes.
It's
Okay.
clear.
So once if I created the table, the next step what I'm doing, I'm making the graph for it. It can be bar chart or it can be pie chart. Okay, I used bar chart. Like that, see, next one, for next question number 2, same for the given questions. I received these answers. I described it in the form of table. Then after that, I made it in the form of graph. Like that for question 3, question 4. See the table, then automatically the graph. Then like that for question 5, okay, then question 14, like see here, question 5 to 13. So there is some conclusions for that. Then like question 14, the table and its corresponding graph, like that. See here, this is the graph which I received. Then see another graph, another table, another graph, another table, another graph, etc. like that. So in the same way, let me explain you one more PhD. See here, I need to calculate CGPA and I need to calculate WI. See here, CGPA For example, see, I'm telling about my experimenters, my experiment. Can you see this Excel file?
Yes.
Okay. See, the first one I mentioned about the criteria for curricular aspects. Okay. So there I provided like curricular design, academic flexibility, curriculum enrichment, feedback, etc. And I made lower level, intermediate level, upper level. Okay.
Doctor, the Excel is not clear. It's showing the word.
Showing the word?
Yeah.
No, Excel is not clear.
The Excel is not clear.
Okay. I will just stop it. Share the screen, Excel. Now it is clear. Can you see Excel now?
Not yet.
Loading.
Excel is not showing.
It's clear. It's showing right now.
It is clear now.
Excel file is clear.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yes,
asking you.
clear.
Okay, you see, I'm having some 7 criteria. This is about the quality of education in higher institution. Okay, so I used one criteria. For that criteria, I used around 4 key points. Okay, so for L, that indicates collecting the information from the lower level. That means curricular design and development. Okay, so what the thing is that I have 5 values. I have 5 values, and I'm asking the students. You got my point? Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
Okay, so like that for intermediate, like there also I have 1 to 5. That means what? Poor, average, good, very good, and excellent. So 5 means excellent. 1 means poor. Okay. Just see, can you see here the value as 1.67?
Yeah.
Okay. Just 1.674419.
Yeah, clear.
Yeah.
Okay, just to see, I am going to, here the value is 2. Okay, I am going to change the value to, then you can see automatically here. Okay, let me do it over here. For the 72, okay, I am going to change the value for this. Because here it is 0, then the value will not change. For 72, I am going to change. Instead of 3, I am going to make 5. So what the change, you can able to feel it over here. Just see, instead of 3, I am going to put 5. Automatically, what happens? You got it? You got it?
Yes.
Okay. So like here it is 2. I am going to make it as 5. What happens automatically? Here the value is changed. Got it? That means I am making the experiment. Okay, this I will give you clear information in the class. Okay. Next week, okay, I will tell you at the end. So this is clear now. So in this way, we are going to make experiment, and this experiment we are going to make in the form of table, and then the table will be converted to the graphical method. Got it clear?
Clear.
Okay. So that's the end.